Graham Nash has paid tribute to this beloved bandmate. It is with a deep and profound sadness that I learned that my friend David Crosby has passed. I know people tend to focus on how volatile our relationship has been at times, but what has always mattered to David and me more than anything was the pure joy of the music we created together, the sound we discovered with one another, and the deep friendship we shared over all these many long years. David was fearless in life and in music. He leaves behind a tremendous void as far as sheer personality and talent in this world. He spoke his mind, his heart, and his passion through his beautiful music and leaves an incredible legacy. These are the things that matter most. My heart is truly with his wife, Jan, his son, Django, and all of the people he has touched in this world. Stephen Stills has joined his former bandmate Graham Nash in paying tribute to David Crosby. I read a quote about composer Gustav Mahler's performance of Mahler's Ninth Symphony by the San Francisco Orchestra from music critic Mark Swed that stopped me for a moment. Death has, on placid cat's paws, entered the room. I should have known something was up. David and I butted heads a lot over time, but they were mostly glancing blows, yet still left us numbskulls. I was happy to be at peace with him. He was without question a giant of a musician, and his harmonic sensibilities were nothing short of genius. The glue that held us together as our vocals soared, like Icarus, towards the sun. I am deeply saddened at his passing and shall miss him beyond measure. Neil Young has shared a statement on the death of David Crosby. Although Young and Crosby famously feuded for years, Young's statement focuses on his most positive memories of their stint as friends and bandmates, expressing his love for Crosby and reminiscing about the good times. David is gone, but his music lives on. The soul of CSNY, David's voice and energy were at the heart of our band. His great songs stood for what he believed in, and it was always fun and exciting when we got to play together. Almost Cut My Hair, Deja Vu, and so many other great songs he wrote were wonderful to jam on, and Stills and I had a blast as he kept us going on and on. His singing with Graham was so memorable. Their duo spot a highlight of so many of our shows. We had so many great times, especially in the early years. Crosby was a very supportive friend in my early life, as we bit off big pieces of our experience together. David was the catalyst of many things. My heart goes out to Jan and Django, his wife and son. Lots of love to you. Thanks, David, for your spirit and songs. Love you, man. I remember the best times. Neil. David Gilmour. We sang together, we played together, and had great times together. I'll miss the Croz more than words can say. Sail on. Ringo Starr posted, God bless David Crosby, and peace and love to all his family. Peace and love. John Mayer. A life of songs, and now a life in songs. There aren't many people who move the world as deeply and for as long as David Crosby did. The music he made will inspire songwriters until the end of time. An absolute purist. Warren Haynes. Not sure I can keep doing this. Still reeling from Jeff Beck's death and now Croz. I guess we've reached that time where our musical heroes are passing at a frequency that is no surprise but still shocking. David Crosby changed the landscape of music as a solo artist and as a member of the Byrds, CSN, and CSNY. His soulful and melodic voice, offset by his brilliantly unique songwriting, made its way into every household that loved not only the folk rock anomaly of CSN, but also, as was unique to the times, Hendrix, Janis Joplin, Jefferson Airplane, Sly and the Family Stone, Santana, the Grateful Dead. The list goes on and on. Our household was no exception. I really loved the beautiful melodies, the three-part harmony, and the ethereal quality of this music, which somehow also had a heaviness to it. Not in the loud sense of the term, but in the gravity and depth of the songs and the performances. Despite the overall acoustic folky nature of all the different projects that Crosby was part of, this music fit perfectly alongside the heaviest and most psychedelic music of that time period. Not just because it incorporated electric instrumentation as well, but because it was unique and defied categorization. It was as much rock music as any of the aforementioned artists. I didn't know David very well, but I cherished the one time we played together, which was at a hepatitis C benefit at the Beacon Theater in NYC with the Allman Brothers Band along with David and Graham Nash, Phil Lesh, and Natalie Cole. It was a huge moment for me to duet with David on Almost Cut My Hair and to sing Stephen Still's part on Find the Cost of Freedom along with him and Graham. I'll never forget it. Thanks, David, from millions of us, for your contribution to the world of music. It is a huge one. Bruce Hornsby. David Crosby was a friend for many years, always a warm and supportive fan, with insightful comments about my work. So bright and so funny. He was always a joy to be around. Jorma Kaukonen from Jefferson Airplane. Early this morning I got a text from someone in California who had heard that my old friend David Crosby had passed. I chose at the time not to believe it. There are so many lies on the internet that sometimes it is easy to dodge the truth. This time it turned out to be true. I met David at the Offstage on 1st Street in San Jose, California in 1962 or 63. He came up from Venice with Paul Kantner to play that little venue and hang out in the South Bay folk scene for a while. He was always brash and self-confident, two qualities he never lost. He was a great artist who was always true to himself. He was my friend, and what we shared transcended the music. I will miss him. Joan Baez. In 1965, Bob Dylan and I were discussing the state of the music scene. He said the Byrds, who had made a hit of Mr. Tambourine Man, were the only thing happening musically at that point in time. Perhaps an exaggeration, but certainly a tribute to the stellar musicians who formed the budding monster groups of the years to come like the Byrds and CSNY. David Crosby was among the monster group icons who continued a solo career with the kind of success reserved for great musicians. And he could sing the hell out of a harmony. He was also a friend to me. He was always, I repeat, always present for me, to defend my character and politics, and often included over the top, sometimes unwarranted praise. He was funny, clever, and refreshing to be around. And I was honored that he chose my portrait of him as his last album cover. He will be missed by millions, including myself. Sending my love to Jan and his family. Jardine. This one is really tough, since David and I really got to know each other after I invited him to sing on a postcard from California, which he so graciously did. I've always been a fan of his beautiful voice, and he leaves behind a legacy of work going back to the Byrds that I've always admired. Of course, his harmonies with Graham Nash, Stephen Stills, and Neil Young are in a league of their own, and the music he created even as recently as last year will be remembered for many years to come. Sending my condolences to David's wife Jan, his family, and all of his fans who will enjoy his evocative music forever. This pic is from our postcard recording session when David sang on California Dreamin' and California Saga with my co-producers Stevie Heeger and Scott Slaughter. Rest in peace, Croz. You were one of a kind, and I'll really miss you. Marianne Faithfull. I don't like greed, I don't like ignorance. I really don't like anger, but I love love. Rest in peace to the brilliant David Crosby. He will be greatly missed. Brian Wilson. I don't know what to say other than I'm heartbroken to hear about David Crosby. David was an unbelievable talent, such a great singer and songwriter, and a wonderful person. I just am at a loss for words. Love and mercy to David's family and friends. Love, Brian. Melissa Etheridge. I am grieving the loss of my friend and Bailey's biological father, David. He gave me the gift of family. I will forever be grateful to him, Django, and Jan. His music and legacy will inspire many generations to come. A true treasure. Christopher Croz. David Crosby was my friend and a big influence on me as a singer-songwriter. He left an indelible signature on music that has inspired many artists and will continue to do so forever. Smooth sailing, my friend. Paul Revere and the Raiders. Rest in peace, David Crosby. The Raiders and the Byrds toured together in those early years as label mates with Columbia Records. What a time, never to be repeated. David brought a distinct energy, vibe, and talent which carried on through decades, that will be remembered forever. Raiders bassist Phil Fong-Volk says, "The Raiders took the Byrds with us on one of our two tours, and we had a blast." Later, David Crosby used to hang out with our band Brotherhood formed from Raiders Volk, Levin, and Smith in the RCA studio nearly every day and jam with us all the time. He wrote an original song that he wanted to record with Brotherhood as a guest artist on our album, but the A&R execs wouldn't approve it. We were really bummed because it was a great song that later became a hit for Crosby, Stills, and Nash called Long Time Gone. Our thoughts are with Jan Crosby and family, and all the people that were touched by David. Carole King, "My old friend David is gone, but he left us with his words, his music, and his beautiful voice. My deepest condolences to Jan, Django, and everyone who loved David Crosby." Sebastian Bach, "As much as I loved his music, I loved his thoughts on Twitter as well. Rest in peace, David Crosby. Thank you for the lifetime of inspiration." Michael McDonald, David Crosby's musical legacy left us with some of the most compelling and meaningful music written in our time. Unique as a composer and as an artist with a musical language all his own. Our thoughts and prayers are with Jan, his sons Django and James. I'm proud to say he was my friend, and I'm grateful to have worked with him, but mostly just to have witnessed his light, his heart, and his intellect. Suffice to say, you always knew where you stood with David. He never held back his truth or his opinion. His talent and creative tenacity have inspired so many. Some of his best work was done in the last years of his life. How many of us will ever be credited with that accolade? Smooth sailing, my friend. See you on that distant shore. Tim McGraw, I got to spend an afternoon a few years back with Mr. David Crosby. He was so warm and friendly to me. We had an incredibly long conversation about music, life, and family. He invited me to come hang out with him at his home sometime, and I was on cloud nine. I'll always remember that day as a highlight in my career and life, and will always regret not getting the chance to take him up on his invitation. The music was mesmerizing, innovative, and magical. It will live forever. Our condolences to his family and friends. God bless y'all. Ryan Adams, rest in peace, David Van Cortlandt Crosby. Difficult birds refuse to fly in patterns. To hear the noise of the air, clouds scream colors louder than the flock who dams them, as they break into new patterns, following the sharp edge of wind, instead of feathers or friends, like they've been here before, ancient, watching the tablet crack, the mountain burn, becoming the stone as it rolls away. For Crosby, safe travels, sir. Thank you for tolerating this place and shining that light so true. Janis Ian, one of the standout moments of my life was when I attended a CBS Records convention in England sometime in the mid-70s. It was a complete zoo, no time for anything but glad handing and thank youing and racing from function to function. I was still pretty unsure of myself, but excited that some of my heroes were going to be there, and hoping to at least get to see them perform if the press cut me loose in time. I remember listening to the very first Crosby, Stills, and Nash album when it came out May or June of '69, marveling at the clarity, the playing, the sheer quality of it, sharing it and talking about it with my colleagues. It was one of those albums every single player in New York had to have. So there I am at the convention, and I'm walking through an indoor alley behind the kitchen. No servers to be seen, trying to get from one place to another without tripping, and I see David Crosby coming toward me from the other end of the hall. I tried my damnedest to look cool, and nodded in what I hoped was an elegant fashion. Much to my surprise, David grinned as he passed and said, "Hello, Janis Ian. Great to see you, made my night." I don't mind telling you, it made my night. Over the years our paths crossed a few more times, and we kept up a vague email correspondence. He was always great when I had a business question, helpful to the max, and sweet. Rest in peace, David Crosby.